Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here, I'll be teaching you guys how to paint 2-pack clear over base in the cold weather and still get some good results. So what you see me doing here to start off with, I'm getting my kettle, I've boiled it, and I've put my hardener and clear coat in a bucket there. So that'll be warming up while I'm putting my base coat down. I'm using the spray booth here. Some people may be doing some stuff at home. What I will say is that airflow is an important part of drying your base coat. I've tend not to heat my base coat up. I have tried it, but I found it ended up skinning over on the top, and it's not really something that you want to happen with your base coat. So we'll try drying that just by blowing a bit of airflow over the top of that. So I've obviously wiped my panels down with wax and grease remover, masked them all up, and then tack ragged them down very well to ensure that I've got nice clean panels. You'll notice here that in the first coat, I'm not putting it on too heavy. Basically, the heavier you put it on, the longer it's going to take to dry. Sometimes painting in the cold, you're better off putting more coats on, but less in each coat, so that each coat can dry. Then you'll put your next one on, and then that will dry at a quicker rate. So this booth of mine is a non-heated spray booth. A lot of my followers will probably already know that, but if you have a heated spray booth, well then that's just perfect, but not everyone has a heated spray booth. Warming the clear up still does apply whether or not you have a heated spray booth or not, because your clear coat is still going to be quite cold coming straight off the shelf. I used to work in Melbourne quite a few years ago now, and it was quite cold there. Now sometimes it would just be enough just to put your can of clear in the spray booth while you were doing your spray cycle, and that would get enough into it. But on the really cold days, if I was doing a job that I wanted to come up really nice, I would just get that bucket and warm the clear up, and I found I'd get some really nice finishes with it, especially when using HS clear. High solids clear is a lot thicker, obviously, and heating it up actually thins it down at the same time as helping it dry. It's pretty important that when you're blowing air over your panel in between coats that you're 100% sure that that air is clean air. So make sure you have filtration systems in place, and yeah, that's not just for blowing the air over, that's even just for spraying. You really do need good air filtration before you take on any top quality jobs. If you're just looking at spraying something that you don't really care about to get the best quality finish, but if you're going to do this kind of work, you really do need good quality air. So as you can see there, it's dried down. It hasn't taken too long because I've got that airflow in there. I just left the drying times out for a couple of these stages here. I've edited the video down obviously, and all up on this job I ended up putting 4 coats of base coat on. The colour didn't cover that well, and so if it was maybe a bit warmer, I might have been able to put those coats on a little bit heavier, and 3 coats may have just been enough. You may be sitting at home thinking, oh, could I get some heat into the panel? If you can get a nice even distribution of heat over the entire panel, then yes, go for it. If you're sitting at home and thinking, hey, I can just grab my heat gun or a hairdryer or something like that, and I'll just start heating the panel up like that, I'd probably recommend not doing that, because a heat gun will blow bits of dust that comes from the air and inside it itself. It'll blow it over your fresh base coat, which you really want to keep nice and clean. I'd probably do it over primer if it's a really cold day and you're doing some primer work or something like that. Something that doesn't matter if a few bits of dust land in. Yep, go for it, use your heat gun. But another thing also is that you want to keep that panel, needs to be the same temperature for the entire panel. So if you're painting, say, a door and a guard, and you go and heat half of that guard up and none of the door up, well then the paint's going to be drying at a different rate, and basically you'll be applying your paint at a certain thickness. You'll do that uniformly, evenly over the entire panel. However, where the panel is hotter, the paint's going to be drying a lot quicker. If there's one little cold spot, that's where it's going to run, which is why heated spray booths were invented, because they will give you an even distribution of heat over the entire panel that you're trying to paint. Anyway, next up we're mixing our paints up, and I'm using a MS Clear. I'm using a fast hardener, and I'm even putting in a bit of this accelerator. So it's U-POL brand. It's a great product here. It's just called Paint Rocket. So I'm sure there might be other ones on the market, but just see your local paint supplier and see if they've got any accelerators, so they really make that paint go off in no time. This was right to fit up 2 or 3 hours later. I pulled it out of the booth, and it was right for us to handle after 3 hours without baking it at all. The only heat that it got was the heat from pre-warming the clear before application. You do have to be careful when you are warming your clears up. It will go off fairly quick, especially if you're using fast hardener and that rocket additive. You'd probably only have 20 to 30 minutes, but that may vary, so paint to paint will obviously change. But there you go, I'll put some panel and paint temperatures in here for you. I've got my digital thermometer there, so they are 100% accurate temperatures that you've got there. I know I've got some people from watching all over the world, and they may look at that and say, what, 17 degree panel temperature? That's our summer. But look, for me, this is cold, and I find I can get runs quite easily at this temperature if I don't heat my clear up, because I'm used to sort of 40 degrees plus in our summer, and when it's 40 degrees, you've really just got to smash that clear on. You got to get it on real heavy, or else it'll just go dry. But that's a whole other thing. I'll make another video on painting in the heat next summer. So you've probably noticed that I'm using the DeVilbiss GTI Pro Light. It's got a 1.3mm fluid tip on it, and the TE20 is the air cap I'm using. Okay, so the gun settings I'm using is 20 PSI. That's at the regulator you see there before the gun. 20 PSI. I've got the fan wound right open, and the fluid knob I've wound that right in and then come out 2.5 turns, which is pretty similar to what I'll be using in most year round. If it was really hot, then I might wind it out a little bit just to get that little bit more material on. But being that I've warmed that clear up, it really cancels out the cold of the day. It makes it flush off in no time. So for this job here, all my flash off time was cleaning my base coat gun out after going around and putting my first coat on. So I went around, put the first coat on the tailgate here. I've got the bumper bar that I was also doing. There was a few other little parts. I then cleaned the base coat gun out, which took about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I was right to come back over and put my second coat on. You can do the tack test, so you can touch your finger on the clear coat next to the painted surface on your masking or something like that, and you'll be able to see if it's still wet. If your finger's still moving around in it, then you might want to wait for a couple more minutes, but if it's pulling the masking up and going a bit sticky, well then you're probably just about right to put your second coat on. I've been painting for 15 years now, and it gets me just about every single time it comes into the winter. It's like that first really cold day, you haven't actually adjusted your painting method quite yet to get used to the cold weather, and I'll just get runs on, and I'll get some killer runs, but hey, I know how to fix them. Sometimes you're just better off painting the whole panel again, but sometimes you're able to sand them out and polish them up. I do have other videos on removing runs and stuff like that, so check through my videos if you're interested in that. So I probably wouldn't even attempt painting anything below 10 degrees without having a proper spray booth, a heated spray booth. If you disagree with that, be sure to let us know in a comment below. I've never really tried spraying below 10 degrees outside of a booth, but if you've done it, well then yeah, be sure to let us know. And if you feel that there's anything that I've missed out of this video, again, put it in a comment and everyone else can read that and benefit from it. I've also just started a brand new channel, completely different channel. There'll be a link in the description below, but it's called the Gunman Raw. So I'll be uploading and posting just raw footage, unedited, of some of those bigger scenes that it gets a little bit tiring for me doing the narration and the whole editing process. It's not a small job by any means. I've been cataloging just about every half decent car I've been spraying and prepping and stuff like that for the last year and a half now. I've got so much footage on my computer, and I just came up with the idea, you know, some people might be interested in just seeing the raw footage. So it's a no frills channel. All it is just a quick upload and title and thumbnail. That's all I do. I'm not going to stuff around with descriptions. I'm not doing intros, endings, or any of that narration or anything like that. But if you think it's something that would interest you, then be sure to check it out. Also, I've got links to all my social media in the description. I'm all over it. I've got Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, all of that kind of stuff. Also my website, I've been doing a bit of work on that lately, and be sure to check that out too. Obviously, when working with any 2-pack paints or any paint related materials, sanding, anything like that, you've really got to be pretty wary of your health. Some people believe I don't mention this too often, so thought I'd make a quick mention about that. Wear your respirator, wear a full spray suit if possible, wear your gloves, and even when sanding you should really be wearing some dust masks, or even just use some dust extraction with a vacuum cleaner or something like that with your orbital sanders if you can. It's your health at the end of the day, it's not mine. I kind of don't really care what you do, and yeah, look, I probably don't use 100% of the PPE that I should be all the time. I don't trust the air that comes out of this spray booth 100% to breathe. Either that or my respirator itself has got a bit smelly over time. But that is why I'm not wearing a full air-fed respirator, because the one that I've got smells, and it's probably worse than using the cartridges that I'm using here. And they are fine. They do provide good protection from the 2-pack paints. As long as they've got a charcoal filter and a particle filter in them, you should be pretty fine. Sorry if I did get a little bit off topic towards the end of this video, but I hope you have enjoyed this lesson at the Academy of the Gunman. I've had a few people that I've told to heat their clear up. They have got back to me and said, wow, that's amazing, thanks so much for that tip. It's just helped them out a lot. And yeah, without it, I think I'd still just be struggling all winter, and I'd be getting runs and it'd be taking ages to dry. And look, it's really that simple. Just get a bit of warmth into your clear. Those temperatures that you saw me at before, they're not 100%. You might want to go a little bit cooler than that. You know, anywhere sort of between 30 degrees to 50 degrees is probably where you'd want it. For a full high solid clear, I wouldn't be shy of getting it right up to 60 degrees. Just get it real warm. You can smash it on nice and heavy, and you will actually hold a nicer gloss because you're not putting any reducer in your paint. That just about wraps this video up anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have an ending for it because I just wanted to get straight home and make this video for you guys. Well, it's all fresh in my head, so I don't have an ending. The car isn't finished yet. But if you really like this video, give it a big thumbs up, share it around, tell your friends about it. Check out my website, thegunman.net.au. Now you've watched this video, get out there and paint some shit. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.